every night. Posers spouting, let's go shopping.
Heading up to South Park, cause I cannot unwind.
I'm lost in rain. I'm only happy when I'm in pain.
So I'm going down to South Park to die.
Hello, you're listening to Storytelling Saga, the podcast that shares stories. I'm your host, Allie, and this week I'm discussing the South Park Goth Kids. The last time I discussed South Park was when I talked about the Christmas specials, back in episode 69. Nice. And at the end of that episode, I said, I fucking love the Goth Kids. I could devote an entire episode to them. So now here we are. And really, though, they are just minor characters within the world of South Park. They show up every once in a while, and it's been quite a number of years since there's been an episode where they were more prominently featured in the plot. So I hope there is another one again at some point, because they're just so hilarious. And they're introduced in the season 7 episode Raisins, when Wendy breaks up with Stan, and then Stan is so depressed, the boys are trying to cheer him up. They take him to Raisins, which is like a Hooters, so fucked up. And then after a few days, Kyle just gets fed up with him, and he says, dude, if you're just going to keep moping around and talking about nothing but pain and misery, you should just go hang out with the Goth Kids. So then we meet the glorious Goth Kids, and they're just sitting behind the school, smoking, as they do. And they are Henrietta, who is the one female goth of the group, Michael, who is the tallest, evidently the oldest goth of the group, Pete, who is the goth who's always flipping his hair back, he has the red in his hair, and Ferkel, the little kindergartner goth. And what sums them up, that's just so fantastic, the irony, is when they're talking about pain and misery and suffering, and then Stan says, okay, how do I join you guys? And then Michael says, if you want to be a nonconformist, all you have to do is dress like we do and listen to the same music that we listen to. So then Stan says, okay. So there you go. That sums it up. It's just so hilarious that to be a nonconformist, you have to conform and dress all in black and smoke and drink coffee like what they do. So the irony is too good. Oh my God. And so then they are reciting poetry, and they're just in Henrietta's room. And when Stan reads his poem, they're like, whoa, 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 that's not goth. I love their fucking voices, too. Of course, voiced by Matt and Trey. Matt voices Michael, and Trey voices Pete. But just, like, it's just so funny. And Pete and Michael really have just the same dynamic as Stan and Kyle. It's just great. But Henrietta always insulting her mom. Like, ugh, conformist bitch. Like, oh my God, Jesus.
Shallow life. Drowning alone, I gasp for air. Coldness creeps over pale skin. There's sadness so deep it pulls me down. Happiness dies in a deep, dark sea.
Yeah, happiness dies.
Yeah.
Alright, your turn, Stan. Read one of your poems about pain.
There's darkness all around me. Deep, piercing black, I cannot breathe. My heart has been raped.
Whoa.
The pain is everlasting. I miss you so much, babe. Want to hold you in my arms again, girl. Want to...
Whoa, dude! Those last two lines aren't goth.
They're not?
No, dude, you can't say, I miss you so much, babe, I want to hold you in my arms.
Make it, I miss seeing you so much I want to slice my eyes out with razor blades.
Henrietta! Hi, sweetie!
Go away, Mom. Leave me alone.
Daddy and I just got your birthday present! But you can't see what it is till tomorrow!
You'd like to wait till I was dead, wouldn't you? You'd like to see the maggots eat my face.
You are so creative, honey.
Conformist bitch.
Yeah.
And the whole subplot with that episode is when Butters falls in love with one of the Raisins girls, Lexus. And it's just so funny that all of their names are expensive cars. There's Lexus, there's Porsche, there's Mercedes. And just because she was like, oh, hey, cutie, like flirting with him. So he thinks that they're in love, and he thinks that they're boyfriend and girlfriend. And so then the parents, when they go to meet her, then the dad explains to him, Butters, sometimes girls, they just flirt with guys because they know that guys will just, like, pay them more money, like they work off tips, so they think if they give them more attention, they'll just get more money. And he's like, oh, I see, you just don't approve of our relationship. And then she just says, he's like, oh, come on, Lexus, I'll move in with you. And she's like, whoa, kid, we are not boyfriend and girlfriend. And then, so the whole time he thought it was sincere. He still thought that, even with what the parents said, like not reading the signs, that she's just working. She just wanted to make some extra cash off of him, so you just flirt and that's it. So, good God. But then he's so depressed and he's crying on the sidewalk, and then the goth kids see him. It's like, whoa, like, you know, life is pain, like, come join us. And then he's saying, yeah, you must hate life. And then Butters says, no, I don't hate life, I love life. And he says that truly profound speech.
Butters?
Oh. Hey, Stan.
What's the matter with you?
Well, my girlfriend broke up with me.
Did she step on your heart with stiletto shoes?
Yeah, sure does hurt.
That's cool. I guess you can join up with us if you want.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the graveyard and write poems about death and how pointless life is.
No thanks. I love life.
Huh? But you just got dumped.
Well, yeah, and I'm sad. But at the same time, I'm really happy that something can make me feel that sad. It's like, it makes me feel alive, you know? It makes me feel human. The only way I can feel this sad now is if I felt something really good before. So I have to take the bad with the good. So I guess what I'm feeling is like a beautiful sadness. I guess that sounds stupid.
Yeah.
No, Butters, that doesn't sound stupid at all.
I really love that whole speech, just summing up that, well, it's a beautiful sadness and that it makes me feel alive. And that's just a truly profound, poignant lesson, really one of the most heartfelt moments in South Park. And they have emotional moments every now and then, but then it's always undercut with a joke, which then they do, of course, in this scene too. But oh my God, it's just fantastic. So then Stan realizes he's right. I don't want to be a goth kid either. And then I'm going to process the breakup like in a healthier way. So then at the end, when they're playing football, and then Stan says, hey, Wendy, you're a bitch. Token right here, buddy. He flips him off. Like, good God. Oh, man. But you know what? It worked out. Stan and Wendy are back together, so that's okay. They had some time apart, but they do eventually get back together, so they're still together, which, you know, whatever. But anyway, so the Goth Kids then, they just had minor roles here and there, but actually Michael then was featured in the episode You Got F'd in the A in season 8 when Stan is putting together a dance crew. So then like you got owned, like, oh my God, that episode's so funny too. And then they're like, I'm not gonna join. Like he asked them all to join. It's just so hilarious with their dancing.
Hey guys, you guys know how to dance, right?
Of course we know how to dance.
Cool, because there's this competition on Saturday, and I have to find the very best dancers in South Park to be on my crew. My friends can't do it because they suck ass, so will you be in my dance troupe?
Dance troupe? Please. We don't dance like those Britney and Justin wannabes at school. Goth kids dance to express pain and suffering.
Yeah, the only cool way to dance is to keep your hands at your sides and your eyes looking at the ground. Then every 3 seconds you take a drag on your cigarette.
Okay, that'll work fine. Listen, there's a dance competition this Saturday, and I need good dancers so I don't get served.
No way. Dancing is something you do alone, in your room at 3 a.m.
Please, you guys, our whole town's reputation's at stake. Won't any of you do it?
I'm not doing it. Being in a dance group is totally conformist.
Yeah, I'm not conforming to some dance-off regulations.
I'm not doing it either. I'm the biggest nonconformist of all.
I'm such a nonconformist that I'm not going to conform with the rest of you. Okay, I'll do it.
Great!
Well, I think we just got put in our place.
Yeah, we just got goth served.
You just look down and smoke, like take a drag off your cigarette every 3 seconds. And then Michael saying, I'm such a nonconformist, I'm not going to conform with the rest of you, I'm in. You know what? I think Michael is my favorite of the Goth Kids. I think for a while my favorite was the flippy, as my sister and I would call him, the flippy hair Goth Kid, Pete. But actually Michael, because I love his voice too. I just love, like, he's just hilarious. And then in particular in the Ungroundable, the season 12 finale, with making fun of the whole vampire craze, because that's when it aired in 2008, when the first Twilight movie released in theaters. Oh gosh. And they get so pissed off with that, with the Goth Kids saying, like, oh my god, like, they're not goth, they're vampire weirdos, like, so fucking hilarious. But then, like, they capture the vampire leader, Mikey, whatever his name is, and it's so funny, the scene when they are just, like, Henrietta's driving her mom's car, and then Pete says, sitting in the front, in the passenger seat, he says, does your mom know you took her car? And Henrietta says, do I care? Like, clearly not. But then, like, they were gonna, like, kill this kid, I guess. Like, getting rid of the head vampire to get rid of the vampire craze, because they hate that they keep mixing up the vampire kids with the goth kid, like, calling them vampires, and they're so pissed off and offended by that. And then I love the line when like, the kid's tied up and, like, it's so fucked up, and then the kid's saying, I'm not really a vampire, and then Michael's saying, what's that? You're not really a vampire? Really? I'm so freaking shocked. Like, the way he says that is so hilarious. And that episode, I remember, my sister and I would quote the fucking shit out of that episode, because rewatching it now, having not seen it in years, I was like, oh my god, I remember some of these quotes so vividly that we would just quote all the goddamn time. One of them that we would always quote was that one. I'm so freaking shocked. But also, when the waitress, like, when the vampire kids are, like, at the diner laughing and stuff, and then it's like, I bet they don't even drink coffee, and then the waitress says, no, they said they're too young for caffeine, so they're having orange juice. My sister and I would always quote that for some reason. I don't know. The random things that made us laugh out loud, which still do with South Park, because, my god, but just, like, random stuff like that. But also, it's so fucking hilarious is that, so when they capture the kid, then they're like, oh, well, what are we gonna do with him? We gotta take him to the most miserable place, and it's just so hilarious and random.
If we get the right packaging, we can just FedEx him somewhere far away.
How about we send him to Transylvania?
No, he'd probably see it as something to brag about someday to his little vampire buddies.
If we're gonna send him somewhere, it should be the most horrible, most miserable place on Earth.
Scottsdale.
And the whole subplot with that episode is Butter is becoming a vampire, and then he thinks, like, he can't eat human food, and he's like, oh, but I need to eat, and he tries to, like, eat blood, like, drink blood. He sneaks into Cartman's room, and it's just, like, so ridiculous. And with his dad, who's just this fucking asshole, Butter's dad, but he's like, Butters, what keeps a family, like, what's, like, the making of a good family? A well-organized pantry. It's like, that's right. What keeps a family together? That's it. So fucking dumb. So then, like, Butters, he's like, oh, I can't be a vampire anymore. And then he goes to the Goth Kids, and it's like, get out of here, you, like, douchebag, like, wannabe. And then he's like, oh, but I can help you, like, put an end to all this. So then they learn that what started the whole craze was a Hot Topic. They're like, of course, freaking Hot Topic. And it's so hilarious because, like, Hot Topic nowadays, it's a lot of, like, cartoon shirts and stuff, all this, like, interesting stuff. But that's just so funny. So it's like, this is where they got all their gear, the vampire kids. So then they just, you know, the beautiful scene where they burn down Hot Topic, and that fantastic song, Trey singing it. I love that. It's so hilarious. But, like, they just commit arson, these kids. And the store clerk is like, hey, what are you doing? It's like, you should probably get out of here. And they're just burning down Hot Topic. And then at the end of that episode, they give a whole speech. They have a whole assembly to, once and for all, put aside, like, explain the differences between vampires and goth. And it's just so fucking hysterical.
Let us make it abundantly clear. If you hate life, truly hate the sun, and need to smoke and drink coffee, you are goth. If, however, you like dressing in black because it's fun, enjoy putting sparkles on your cheeks and following the occult while avoiding things that are bad for your health, then you are most likely a douchebag vampire wannabe boner. Because anybody who thinks they are actually a vampire is freaking retarded.
Fuck all of you.
And something else that's hilarious to me that I didn't even notice until now was that when Michael says, fuck all of you, then they cheer even louder for that. Like, okay, like, yeah, like, okay, whatever the fuck. So anyway, the episode where they're most prominently featured, entirely dedicated to them, is from season 17, Goth Kids 3, Dawn of the Posers. And in that episode, they're like pissed off because they're getting confused with emos. And there's a whole great scene where they're talking about the difference between goths and emos.
All right, now, you say that you witnessed your friend being abused by her parents.
Yes. They called her an emo.
What's wrong with that?
Emos suck! They're vile, self-pitying, depressed assholes!
So why do you think they called her that?
Because she's goth and some ignorant people don't know the difference!
What is the difference?
Oh my god! They're totally different!
Okay, different how?
They're... one is good and emos are horrible! They're posers!
Emo suck my golf balls.
Alright, think of it this way. A goth believes that deep down the world is totally fucked up. But an emo thinks that deep down they are totally fucked up.
That's not much of a difference.
That's a huge fucking difference! Okay, look. Emos are more prone to suicide. This fucking bitch, man. But goths are more prone to be depressed that so many people commit suicide. Goth's darkness is nihilistic, whereas emos is cynical. Wait, I thought we were cynical. Whatever, it doesn't matter. No, see, you're nihilistic. Oh, yeah, you're right.
So, it's like, they didn't barely know the difference themselves. Like, you could just switch out one word for the other. You could throw in, like, misanthropic in there, too. Like, it's just so ridiculous. Oh, my God. But they kind of sum it up with, like, okay, so goths think the world is fucked up, but emos think they are fucked up, so whatever. So then they send Henrietta to that camp. And then she becomes emo then. They're like, oh shit, she's emo now. And the parents are just happy. It's like, oh yeah, she didn't even insult me at all. So they only cared about like Henrietta just always insulting the mom. So that's it. That's the reason so now it's like, oh great, now she's just like apologizing and everything. So they're happy with it. And then when they go to the camp, because then Michael's at the camp too, and we see all these plants, and it's just so weird that like all these plants, like they are emos, the plants, so they use you as a host. And then like the vampire kids and the goth kids join together to put a stop to the emos because their common enemy is the emos. So then they summon the ghost of Edgar Allan Poe, and he's a straight up asshole, and he's like, oh, you're all posers, like insulting both of them, like, oh, you're not, like, fuck the vampire kids, fuck the goth kids. It's like he's an asshole. And then Firkle double crosses them, and then it turns out the whole thing was a prank. The whole thing was just this prank show. So really bizarre. But then when they go to Henrietta at the end, and she's saying, no, like I went to that camp and I became emo. And then they're like, no, you just kind of did that on your own. And she's like, oh my God, so embarrassing. And then Pete saying, oh wait, hang on, we actually went there and what I meant to say was we went there, we torched the plant leader, and then that's it. So like that's nice. They kind of did that for her to make her be like, oh, it's like, oh yeah, now I'm back to normal. And she insults the mom again. So like she's back to her usual self. And also, oh my God, like Pete's ringtone is hysterical. I love his ringtone.
Death and despair! Death and despair!
But enough about 2020. I'm sorry, I had to. Oh my fucking God. So again, I just love the goth kids. The joke is always the same, that like they're just hypocrites and conformists themselves, but that's just hilarious. That this is just their identity as goth kids, but they're just so hysterical. So I hope we'll see another episode with them again at some point because they're just fantastic. And while I'm on the subject of South Park, just want to say the season 24 premiere, the pandemic special, was absolutely phenomenal. Hysterical, ridiculous. If you haven't seen it, you could check it out for free on the South Park website, southpark.cc.com. Oh my God, it's just so great. So, as always, I love South Park. I can't wait to, more South Park. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season, and I'll be talking about South Park definitely again at some point. So, don't be a poser, don't be a conformist. And with that is going to conclude this week's episode of Storytelling Saga. As always, you can follow the podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Be sure to check out storytellingsaga.com, and feel free to send me any questions, comments, or writing prompts by emailing me at storytellingsaga@gmail.com. Next week, I am so excited to say I will be interviewing Allison Taffel. If you're a huge BoJack Horseman fan like I am, you know that she wrote the penultimate episode of the series, The View from Halfway Down. So excited to talk to her about that episode and about her career. Until then, thank you for listening, and remember, write what you love.